You have been deceived by the term law of attraction. The very language implies that the things you desire exist somewhere outside of you, floating in a distant warehouse of the universe, and your task is to somehow drag them toward your empty vessel through sheer force of yearning. This is the philosophy of the beggar, and Ernest Holmes exposed it as a fundamental misunderstanding of your nature. You are not a magnet attempting to pull scattered metal filings from the dirt. You are a creative center, generating an electromagnetic field that organizes reality itself. The distinction is not semantic, it is the difference between poverty and power. When you believe you must attract wealth from a stingy external world, you position yourself as fundamentally incomplete, a vacuum desperately trying to fill itself. Holmes revealed a superior logic. You do not attract wealth, you radiate it from the infinite source that operates through you as a localized point of expression. The moment you cease trying to get and begin the work of expressing, the entire direction of the universal flow reverses. You transform from a beggar collecting crumbs at the table of reality to a sun-generating light that illuminates everything within its sphere of influence. The pain you have been enduring is the emptiness, the hollow sensation that you are nothing more than a container waiting to be filled by forces beyond your control. Consider the absurdity of your position through this analogy. You are a light bulb in a dark room, begging the darkness to give you illumination. You plead with the walls, the furniture, the shadows themselves to somehow deliver light into your filament. It is metaphysically impossible. The light bulb does not receive light from the room. The light bulb generates light that the room then reflects. Holmes promises you this. When you accept your true identity as a center of God consciousness, you realize that the switch has always been located on the inside of your being, not somewhere in the external environment. The divine circuit runs through you, not to you. You are the point where infinite intelligence becomes particular action, where universal substance takes specific form. The power does not travel toward you from a distant generating station. You are the generating station, and the world around you is simply the grid that your output illuminates. This is not poetry, this is precision metaphysics. The environment you experience is the effect. You are the generator of the field that organizes that environment into coherent patterns. The moment you grasp this fundamental repositioning, everything changes. You stop waiting for permission from reality and start issuing commands to the law. You cease monitoring the world for signs of approval and begin broadcasting the frequency of your chosen state. Holmes taught that life is a mirror, but mirrors do not generate images, they reflect them. If you stand before the mirror of existence holding the posture of lack, the mirror can only return lack to you with mathematical precision. If you stand before that same mirror embodying fullness, radiating the consciousness of wealth, health, and love as present realities, the mirror must reflect that state back to you because it has no choice. The law is impersonal, automatic, and utterly faithful to the nature of the seed you plant. Your error has been standing before the mirror, begging it to smile while you frown, demanding that it show you abundance while you clutch the consciousness of poverty. The mirror is innocent. It is simply doing its job with flawless accuracy. In this documentary, we will execute what I call the generator protocol, a precise methodology for reversing the current of your consciousness from incoming to outgoing, thereby flooding your life with the good that has always been available, but blocked by your orientation. You will learn the exact mental posture required to shift from receiver to transmitter, from effect to cause, from creature to creative center. However, I must warn you of what Holmes identified as the voltage drop, a specific habit of seeking external validation that cuts the power line instantly and returns you to the beggar state. Most teachers will not tell you this because they do not understand the electrical nature of consciousness. But in part 4 of this transmission, I will reveal the fatal mistakes that cause even advanced practitioners to lose their connection to source and revert to attraction thinking. You will learn how to become what the ancient texts call self-referral, a state in which your validation comes entirely from your internal knowledge of the law rather than the fickle applause of the external world. This is not theory to be admired. This is technology to be operated. If you are ready to stop begging and start generating, I need you to perform a symbolic act right now that signals to your subconscious mind that the reversal has begun. In the comments below, type the words "I am the generator," not "I want to be" or "I hope to become," but the present tense declaration, "I am the generator." This is not superstition. This is you consciously flipping the switch. The moment you declare your identity as a creative center, the law begins to rearrange the particles of your experience to match that decree. Your words are not descriptions of reality. They are commands issued to the universal substance that takes the shape of every mold you press into it. Type it now. I am the generator. Let that statement be the first watt of power flowing through the circuit we are about to construct together. But before we can execute the generator protocol, we must build the unshakable foundation that makes such power possible. If you attempt the technique without understanding the metaphysical architecture beneath it, you will generate sporadic results and conclude the law does not work. The law always works. It is your comprehension of the law that requires calibration. In part 2, I will reveal the concept Holmes called the localized God, the single most important idea in all of spiritual science. At the end of this transmission, you will possess a worldview so solid that doubt becomes impossible. Subscribe now, because the channels that teach you this level of precision are rare, and the algorithm does not favor truth. It favors entertainment. Hit the bell. We continue. Ernest Holmes taught a concept so radical that most spiritual communities still refuse to accept it, yet it is the cornerstone of all genuine metaphysical power. God is infinite, but man is the point where God becomes particular. Let us establish the logic with surgical clarity. The infinite, by definition, is everywhere present, omnipotent and undifferentiated. It is the ocean of pure potential, the field of all possibilities existing simultaneously without form or direction. However, this infinite requires a localized point of operation to bring any specific thing into manifestation. Think of electricity. The power grid is everywhere, a vast network of potential energy, but until that energy reaches an outlet, a specific point of conversion, it cannot turn on a single light. You are that outlet. You are the point where the infinite intelligence becomes specific, usable directive action. The universal mind does not bypass you to create your life. It creates your life through you, using your consciousness as the mold, the template, the blueprint for what shall appear. This is not blasphemy. This is physics applied to metaphysics. Consider the nature of a localized center in any system. In a hologram, every fragment contains the whole image, but expresses it from a unique angle. In a fractal, every small iteration contains the complete mathematical pattern of the larger structure. You are not separate from God. You are God localized, God individualized, God operating at a specific coordinate in space-time. Holmes declared, each one of us is a center of the divine consciousness, not connected to the divine consciousness as if by a long cord that might be severed, but a center of it, meaning the divine is flowing through your very being as the substance of your thoughts, your words, your expectations. When you think, God thinks through you. When you speak, the creative word is spoken through you. When you feel, the infinite substance responds to the emotional mold you are creating. The implications of this are staggering. If you are a localized point of God operation, then the power does not come to you from some distant throne in the sky. The power comes through you from the infinite source that is using you as its avenue of expression. This reverses every prayer you have ever prayed. You have been praying upward, outward, begging a distant deity to notice your suffering and perhaps, if you grovel sufficiently, to send relief. Holmes shatters this model. You are not praying to God, you are praying from God. You are not asking permission from a king. You are issuing decrees as a sovereign prince in the kingdom of consciousness. The moment you speak with the realization that the infinite is speaking through you, your word carries the weight of the law itself. It is no longer a request. It is a command issued to the substance that must obey, because there is no resistance in it, no contrary will, no reluctance. It is pure responsiveness, waiting for direction. Let us use the analogy of water and pipes to cement this understanding. Imagine an infinite ocean connected to your home through a single pipe. The ocean represents the infinite supply, boundless, inexhaustible, always available. The pipe represents your consciousness, your mental conduit. Now, if the pipe is blocked with debris, what happens? The water stops flowing. Not because the ocean has run dry, not because the ocean is withholding, but because the blockage in the pipe prevents the flow. Fear is the debris, doubt is the rust, resentment is the kink in the hose. These are not moral failures, they are mechanical obstructions in the channel through which infinite supply must flow to reach your localized experience. Conversely, if the pipe is clean and open, the ocean floods through it with unstoppable force. Faith is not belief in a miracle. Faith is the removal of the blockage, the opening of the valve, the clearing of the channel, so that what is already pressing against the pipe can finally rush through. This is why Holmes insisted that treatment, what others call prayer, is not about changing God's mind. God has no mind to change. God is law, and law is automatic. Treatment is about changing your mind, adjusting your consciousness, clearing the pipe so that the infinite can flow through you unobstructed. You are not convincing God to help you. You are convincing yourself that God is already helping you, has always been helping you, and the only question is whether your mental pipe is open or closed. When you sit down to do spiritual mind treatment, you are not sending a message to a distant being. You are performing mental maintenance on the localized outlet through which universal power is attempting to express. You are removing the blockage, straightening the conduit, and restoring the flow. The tragedy of humanity is that we have spent millennia staring at our empty pipes, cursing the ocean for withholding, when the ocean has been pressing against the blockage with infinite pressure all along. We are like a man dying of thirst in a house with running water, refusing to turn on the tap because he is too busy praying for rain. Holmes is handing you the wrench. He is showing you where the valve is located. He is explaining that you are not a disconnected fragment hoping to reconnect to source. You are source localized, and your only task is to remove the mental debris that blocks the natural outflow. This is not spiritual bypass. This is spiritual engineering. Every thought of lack is a blockage. Every statement of impossibility is rust in the pipe. Every repetition of old failure is a kink that restricts the flow. And every affirmation of truth, every recognition of your identity as a creative center, is the clearing of the channel so that the ocean within can finally express as the abundance you were designed to demonstrate. Consider this from the standpoint of first cause. In any system, you must identify the originating point, the place where action begins. Traditional religion teaches that God is first cause and you are second or third cause, a dependent effect waiting for the first cause to decide your fate. Holmes demolishes this hierarchy. God is first cause, but you are the localized point where first cause becomes active. There is no separation between the cause and its localized expression. When you think from the awareness that you are a center of the divine, your thoughts become first cause in your localized sphere. They are not secondary hopes, they are primary commands. The universe does not debate with first cause, it obeys. This is why Jesus said, "The Father and I are one," not "I am trying to get close to the Father," but "I and the Father are one." Total identification, zero separation. The moment you achieve that same realization, you speak as the law, not to the law. The mind recoils from this teaching because the ego prefers to be a victim rather than a god. The victim identity is comfortable because it removes responsibility. If you are merely a disconnected creature at the mercy of external forces, then your failures are not your fault. You can blame the economy, the weather, your parents, the government, bad luck, evil people, Mercury in retrograde, anything but the quality of consciousness you are broadcasting. But Holmes strips away that excuse. He forces you to confront the terrifying truth. You are a creative center, and your life is the mathematical result of the thoughts you have been thinking, the feelings you have been feeling, the beliefs you have been holding. This is not punishment. This is power. If your consciousness is the pipe through which infinite supply must flow, then the adjustment of your consciousness is the only work that matters. Change the pipe, and the flow changes instantly. We must understand that this localized God concept is not theoretical mysticism. It is practical technology. Every time you say, "I am healthy," you are not lying to yourself or denying symptoms. You are issuing a command, as a localized point of the divine intelligence that governs every cell in your body, the intelligence that built your body from a single cell, that orchestrates trillions of biochemical reactions per second without your conscious effort, is the same intelligence flowing through your declarative thought. When you speak with the authority of one who knows they are a center of this intelligence, the cells receive the command and reorganize accordingly. This is not faith healing. This is consciousness directing biology. Holmes was teaching cellular command protocols decades before epigenetics confirmed that belief alters genetic expression. You are not hoping your body will heal. You are commanding the infinite intelligence within your body to express its natural perfection, and the law, being impersonal and automatic, must comply. The shift from waiting to receive to preparing to express is the shift from effect to cause, from thermometer to thermostat. A thermometer measures the temperature of the room and adjusts itself to match the external environment. A thermostat sets the temperature and forces the environment to adjust to it. You have been living as a thermometer, constantly measuring the world's mood and adjusting your inner state to match. The economy is bad, so I must feel poor. People are cruel, so I must feel victimized. Life is hard, so I must feel exhausted. This is the consciousness of effect, and it guarantees that you will always be pushed around by external conditions. Holmes is teaching you to become a thermostat, to set your inner state independent of external conditions, and trust that the law will rearrange external conditions to match your inner decree. This is not positive thinking. This is the scientific application of the principle that consciousness is cause and environment is effect. Let us drive this deeper with the analogy of the sun. The sun does not wait for the planets to send it energy. The sun generates its own energy through nuclear fusion in its core, and the planets orbit it, receiving warmth and light as a natural consequence of being in the sun's field. You are designed to operate as a sun, not as a planet. A planet is cold, dark, and dependent, receiving everything from an external source. A sun is hot, bright, and generative, creating its own energy and radiating it outward. When you live in attraction consciousness, you are a planet, cold and desperate, orbiting around jobs, people, and opportunities, hoping they will give you the warmth and light you crave. When you shift to generator consciousness, you become a sun, burning with the realization that the infinite is the fuel in your core, and everything you need is produced by the reaction happening inside your own being. The world stops being your source and becomes your effect. Holmes understood that most spiritual suffering comes from the illusion of separation. We feel separate from God, separate from supply, separate from health, separate from love, and this feeling of separation creates the experience of lack. But the separation is a lie. You cannot be separated from the infinite any more than a wave can be separated from the ocean. You are made of it. You are a temporary, localized expression of it. The wave rises from the ocean, dances for a moment, and returns to the ocean, but at no point is it not ocean. You rise from the infinite, dance through a lifetime, and return to the infinite, but at no point are you not infinite. The feeling of separation is simply the ego's misidentification. The ego looks at the boundaries of the body and concludes, I am this small, isolated thing surrounded by a hostile universe. The spirit looks beyond the body and declares, I am the infinite expressing through this particular point in space-time, and everywhere I look, I see only more of myself in different forms. This is the foundation. This is the unshakable logic upon which all technique rests. You are not a beggar at the door of the universe. You are a creative center, a localized God, an outlet through which infinite power flows into specific manifestation. The work is not to attract. The work is to express. The work is not to get. The work is to give form to what already exists as potential within you. The moment you accept this identity, the entire game changes. You stop asking, how do I get money? And start asking, how do I express prosperity? You stop asking, how do I find love? And start asking, how do I radiate love? The shift in the question reveals the shift in consciousness, and the shift in consciousness produces the shift in experience. This is law. This is science. This is the teaching of Ernest Holmes, stripped of sentimentality and presented as the precise engineered system it was always meant to be. Now we must examine the mechanism by which a creative center generates reality. And for this, we return to the analogy of the movie projector. You have heard this illustration before, but most teachers use it incorrectly, focusing on the film reel and ignoring the source of power. A movie projector does not attract the image that appears on the screen from some external database of possibilities. The projector generates the image by radiating light from within its housing, passing that light through a film strip encoded with information and casting the result onto a blank screen. The screen is passive, it receives whatever the projector sends. If you want a different image on the screen, you do not negotiate with the screen, plead with the screen, or try to manipulate the screen. You change the film and increase the light. This is the exact relationship between your consciousness and your life. Your life is the screen, absolutely neutral, infinitely responsive. Your consciousness is the projector, generating the light of awareness and directing it through the film of your habitual thought. The critical component most people miss is the source of the light itself. Inside the projector is a bulb, a point of concentrated energy that produces the illumination necessary for projection. Without the bulb, the film is meaningless. No matter how beautiful the images encoded on the celluloid, they remain invisible in the darkness. Holmes teaches that you are the bulb. More precisely, the infinite intelligence is the electrical current, and you are the filament through which that current flows, producing light. The light of consciousness is not something you create from nothing. It is something the infinite creates through you. Your task is not to generate the light. Your task is to keep the filament clean and conductive so the light can shine at full brightness. Fear, doubt, and resentment are like carbon buildup on the filament, reducing the wattage, dimming the projection, and making the images on the screen faint and distorted. Faith, love, and gratitude are like a clean filament, allowing the full voltage to pass through, producing a bright, clear, powerful projection. Let us follow the light through the system step by step. The electrical current enters the projector from an external power source. This represents the infinite intelligence, the universal mind, the ocean of pure potential we discussed earlier. That current reaches the bulb, which is your individualized consciousness, your I am, the localized center of awareness. As the current passes through the filament of your I am, it produces light. This light is attention, awareness, mental energy. This is the raw power you have to work with, and it is infinite, because it is drawing from an infinite source. The brightness of your light depends entirely on the conductivity of your filament. If your mind is clogged with limiting beliefs, the light is dim. If your mind is clear and aligned with truth, the light is blinding. Now, this light must pass through something before it hits the screen, and that something is the film strip. The film strip represents your habitual patterns of thought, your beliefs, your internal images, your self-concept. The light does not care what is on the film. It will project whatever is there with perfect fidelity. If the film strip contains images of poverty, sickness, and failure, the light will project poverty, sickness, and failure onto the screen of your life. If the film strip contains images of abundance, health, and success, the light will project abundance, health, and success onto the screen of your life. The screen, which is the external world, has no opinion about what appears on it. The screen is the effect, the projector is the cause. This is why fighting with your circumstances is as futile as punching a movie screen to change the plot. You are attacking the effect while leaving the cause untouched. The man screaming at the screen, demanding that the villain stop chasing the hero, is insane. Everyone in the theater knows the solution: change the film. Yet in life, we repeat this insanity daily. We fight with our bank account, argue with our diagnosis, wrestle with our relationships, all of which are images on the screen, while the projector inside our skull continues running the same film that created those images in the first place. Holmes is handing you the key to the projection room. He is teaching you that the film can be changed, but only by the operator, which is you. No external force can change your film for you. No guru, no pill, no government program, no lucky break can reach into your consciousness and replace the images you are holding. Only you can do that, and you do it through the deliberate, disciplined use of thought. This is why affirmations work when used correctly. An affirmation is the process of exposing new film, imprinting it with the image you desire, and then running it through the projector repeatedly until it becomes the dominant pattern. The outer world must reflect this new pattern because the screen has no choice. It is a mirror, and mirrors do not argue. They simply reflect whatever is placed before them with absolute precision. If you stand before the mirror frowning and demand that it smile, you will wait forever. But if you smile, the mirror smiles instantly. The delay you experience in life is not the universe being stubborn. It is the time it takes for the old film to finish running through the projector and the new film to take over. Let us deepen this with the concept of light intensity. In photography, there is a principle called exposure. If you want a bright, vivid photograph, you need strong, sustained light hitting the film. Weak, flickering light produces a faint, unclear image. The same principle governs manifestation. If you hold an image of prosperity in your mind for 5 seconds and then spend the next 23 hours and 55 seconds worrying about bills, your film is not being exposed to the new image long enough to create a clear picture. The light of your attention keeps flickering back to the old image of lack, and that is what remains dominant on the film strip. Holmes would say your treatment was too weak, your light was dim and inconsistent. You must increase the intensity and duration of the light shining on the desired image until it is burned into the film so deeply that it becomes the automatic, subconscious pattern. This is why he taught practitioners to know the truth repeatedly, to saturate consciousness with the desired state until it is no longer an effort but a reflex. Consider the relationship between the light and the film from a quantum perspective. Light is energy. Film is matter. When light hits matter, it alters the structure of the matter, creating a permanent record. This is not a metaphor. This is literal physics applied to consciousness. Your sustained attention is light. Your subconscious mind is film. When the light of your attention focuses on a specific thought or image with emotional intensity, it alters the structure of your subconscious, creating a new pattern, a new mold, a new template. Once that template is established, the law must fill it because the law operates automatically, filling every mold without judgment, without questioning whether the mold is good or bad. The law does not evaluate, it creates. It takes the shape of whatever container you provide. If you provide a container shaped like poverty, it fills that container with experiences of poverty. If you provide a container shaped like wealth, it fills that container with experiences of wealth. The shape of the container is determined by the film running through your mental projector. Holmes warned against the error of treating the screen as the source. When you see an image on the screen, a check in the mail, a promotion at work, a healing in the body, the ego wants to grab that image and cling to it, believing the screen is where the good comes from. But the screen is only the effect. The good did not come from the screen, it came through the projector. If you worship the effect and forget the cause, you lose your power. This is why people who win the lottery often end up broke again within a few years. They received an effect without changing the cause. The film in their mental projector still shows poverty, limitation, and lack. So the law, being faithful to the film, reproduces those conditions even after a temporary windfall. The money disappears because the consciousness that produced it was never altered. They were given a fish but never taught to fish. Holmes teaches you to fish by teaching you to operate the projector. The freedom in this understanding is absolute. If the world is the screen and you are the projector, then you are never at the mercy of external conditions. External conditions are effects, and effects have no power. All power resides in cause, and you are the cause. When the economy crashes, you do not panic, because you understand the economy is an image on the screen, and you control the film. When the diagnosis is grim, you do not despair, because you understand the body is an image on the screen, and you control the film. This is not denial, this is dominion. You are not pretending the image does not exist. You are recognizing that the image is temporary, changeable, and entirely dependent on the film you are running. Change the film, and the image must change. It is law, it is automatic, it is impersonal. The screen does not argue with the projector, it obeys. Let us apply this to the concept of persistence. Why do some manifestations take longer than others? Because the old film has been running for years, even decades, and it has created deep grooves in your subconscious. The new film must be run repeatedly with high intensity to overwrite those grooves. Imagine a path through a forest. If people have been walking the same path for 30 years, the trail is deep, clear, and easy to follow. If you want to create a new path, you cannot walk it once and expect the old path to disappear. You must walk the new path every day, consistently, until it becomes deeper and clearer than the old one. Eventually, the old path will become overgrown and forgotten, and the new path will be the only one visible. This is the work of changing your mental film. The old images will not vanish after one affirmation. They will persist until the new images are repeated so often, with such emotional conviction, that they dominate the subconscious landscape. Holmes gave us the formula: thought plus feeling plus conviction equals manifestation. Thought is the image on the film. Feeling is the light shining through the projector. Conviction is the sustained focus that keeps the light steady. If any of these elements is weak, the projection is weak. If all three are strong, the manifestation is inevitable. You are not hoping for a miracle, you are operating a law. The sun does not hope to create light, it generates light, because generation is its nature. When you understand that you are a creative center, a localized point where infinite intelligence projects itself into form, you stop hoping and start commanding. You stop waiting for permission and start issuing decrees. The screen, your life, has no choice but to reflect the images you are projecting. This is the unshakable logic Holmes gave us, and it has not failed a single soul who applied it with precision and faith. Before we can execute the generator protocol, we must prepare the soil of consciousness, and that preparation requires achieving a specific internal state that Holmes identified as fullness. You cannot radiate what you do not feel. You cannot broadcast abundance from a consciousness of lack. This is not a moral rule, it is a mechanical necessity. A radio station cannot transmit a signal it is not generating. If your internal state is emptiness, fear, or desperation, those are the frequencies you will broadcast, and the law will return experiences that match those frequencies with perfect precision. Therefore, the first and most critical step in becoming a generator is cultivating the felt sense of already having what you seek, not the hope of having it in the future, not the memory of having it in the past, but the present tense reality of having it now, in this moment, as an internal experience independent of external evidence. This is where most students fail. They attempt to feel wealthy after the money arrives, to feel loved after the relationship appears, to feel healthy after the diagnosis changes. But this is backwards causation. The feeling does not follow the manifestation. The feeling precedes it. The feeling is the cause, the manifestation is the effect. Holmes taught that the universe responds to your internal state, not your external circumstances. If you wait for circumstances to change before you change your state, you will wait forever. Because circumstances are the mirror, and mirrors do not initiate change. They reflect change. You must become full before the evidence of fullness appears, and this requires a deliberate act of consciousness that the untrained mind considers impossible. The trained mind knows it is the only path. Let us dissect what fullness actually means in the context of Holmes's teaching. Fullness is not intoxication or manic excitement. It is a deep, quiet knowing that you are already connected to infinite supply and that the connection is open, active, and flowing right now. It is the felt awareness that the ocean of pure potential is pressing against the valve of your consciousness with infinite pressure, and the only question is whether you will turn the valve or keep it closed. Fullness is the removal of the sensation of need. Need is the acknowledgement that something essential is missing, and that acknowledgement creates a vacuum that the law must fill with experiences of absence. If you approach your spiritual practice from a state of need, I need money, I need healing, I need love, you are declaring to the law that lack is your identity, and the law, being utterly faithful, will provide endless opportunities for you to experience needing money, needing healing, needing love. Fullness inverts this. Fullness says, I am already whole. The infinite is operating through me now. Everything I require is already present in potential form, and I am simply giving it permission to take visible shape. This is not affirmation in the weak sense of repeating a lie until you believe it. This is recognition of a metaphysical fact. The infinite is omnipresent. Omnipresent means present everywhere, including within you, right now. If the infinite is present within you, and the infinite contains all possibilities, then all possibilities are present within you right now, waiting for your conscious direction to assume specific form. You are not empty. You have never been empty. You have been asleep to the fullness that is your natural state, and the spiritual work is waking up to what is already true. Holmes would say, you do not need to create God's presence, you need to recognize it. To achieve this state practically, you must engage in what Holmes called spiritual mind treatment, though I prefer to call it consciousness calibration. You are calibrating your internal instruments to detect the infinite that is always broadcasting. Sit quietly in a space where you will not be disturbed. Close your eyes and begin with this foundational recognition. I am not a body with a soul. I am a soul with a body. I am not matter trying to become spiritual. I am spirit temporarily occupying matter. Let this statement settle into your awareness. Feel the shift as you stop identifying with the small, limited physical form and start identifying with the vast, unlimited spiritual presence animating that form. The body is a vehicle. You are the driver. The body is an instrument. You are the musician. The body is a screen. You are the projector. Once you have established this foundational identity, you move to the second layer, the recognition of connection. Visualize, if it helps, a cord of pure white light descending from the infinite and entering the crown of your head. This is not a literal cord. It is a symbolic representation of the connection you already have, but may not feel. As you visualize this cord, mentally affirm, I am plugged into the infinite. The power that created the universe is flowing through me now. I'm not disconnected. I'm not isolated. I'm a localized expression of the one life, and that life is moving through me as energy, intelligence, and creativity. Do not rush this. Allow the image and the words to generate an emotional response. The emotion is the light shining through the film. Without emotional intensity, the treatment is weak and the film is underexposed. The third layer is the cultivation of fullness itself. You must generate the feeling of already having what you desire before any external evidence appears. This is not self-deception. This is the proper use of imagination. Imagination is the workshop where the infinite takes form. Holmes taught that every physical object you see around you, the chair, the phone, the building, first existed as an image in someone's imagination before it became concrete. Imagination is not fantasy. It is the preview function of your creative center. If you cannot see it in imagination, you cannot generate it in reality, because the law fills the molds you create mentally before it fills them physically. Therefore, you must sit in meditation and feel the reality of your desired state as if it is already complete. If your desire is financial abundance, do not visualize the future moment when the money arrives. Visualize the present moment as if the abundance is already here. Feel the relief, the freedom, the gratitude, the expansiveness that money represents. Notice how your breath deepens when you feel secure. Notice how your shoulders relax when you feel prosperous. Notice the slight smile that appears on your face when you feel free. These physical sensations are the evidence that your consciousness is generating the state, and the state is what the law responds to. The law does not deliver money. The law delivers experiences that match your vibrational state. If your state is relaxed, free, and grateful, the law will bring circumstances that justify those feelings. The money is a side effect of the consciousness, not the goal. Holmes warned against the error of outlining, which is attempting to dictate the specific form through which your good must arrive. Outlining shrinks the infinite possibilities down to one narrow pathway, and if that pathway is blocked, the student concludes the law failed. The law did not fail. The student's rigidity blocked the flow. When you cultivate fullness, you must release attachment to specific forms and trust that the infinite, knowing all possible routes, will deliver your good through the easiest, fastest, most harmonious pathway. Your task is not to figure out how. Your task is to maintain the state of fullness and allow the how to be revealed. This requires surrendering control, which terrifies the ego. The ego wants to micromanage every detail. The spirit knows that micromanagement is distrust disguised as prudence, and distrust is a declaration that the law is unreliable, which becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The cultivation of fullness is a daily practice, not a one-time event. You are training your consciousness to default to the generator state rather than the receiver state. Each morning, before you engage with the external world, you must perform this calibration. You must remind yourself of your identity as a creative center, re-establish the felt sense of connection to the infinite, and generate the emotional state of fullness independent of circumstances. This is the mental equivalent of turning on the power before you flip the switches in your house. If the main power is off, flipping switches does nothing. If the main power is on, every switch activates immediately. Fullness is your main power. Turn it on first, and everything else becomes effortless. Now we execute the generator protocol, the precise sequence of mental operations that reverses the flow of your consciousness from incoming to outgoing. This is not guided meditation in the therapeutic sense. This is engineering. You are adjusting the settings on a machine, and that machine is your mind. The protocol consists of 3 steps: the connection, the distribution, and the claim. Each step must be performed in order, and each step must be completed with full attention and emotional intensity. Half-hearted execution produces half-hearted results. The law responds to the level of conviction you bring to the work, not the length of time you spend doing it. 5 minutes of focused, emotionally charged treatment is infinitely more effective than an hour of distracted, lukewarm repetition. Step 1 is the connection, which I also call the plug. You are establishing conscious contact with the infinite source that is the fuel for your generator. Sit in a quiet space, close your eyes, and take 3 deep breaths, exhaling slowly. This is not a relaxation technique. This is a signal to your nervous system that you are shifting from external awareness to internal awareness. Now visualize a cord of brilliant white light descending from the infinite space above you and entering the crown of your head. Feel the light as a tangible sensation, a warmth, a tingling, a pressure. If you do not feel anything physical, do not worry. The visualization alone is sufficient. The image creates the pathway, and the law follows the pathway. As you visualize the cord, mentally affirm, I am connected to the infinite source of all power, all intelligence, all substance. The connection is open. The flow is active. I am not generating this power. I am distributing it. Let that affirmation settle. Notice the shift in your internal state as you move from effort to reception. You are not trying to create energy from nothing. You are acknowledging the energy that is already pouring into you from the infinite. This is critical. Most people burn themselves out trying to generate results through sheer personal willpower, which is the equivalent of a light bulb trying to generate electricity instead of simply conducting it. You are not the source. You are the outlet. The source is the infinite, and it is inexhaustible. Your task is to keep the connection clean, clear, and open. As you hold this image and affirmation, begin to feel the sensation of energy rising within you. Do not strain for this. Allow it. Some students report a sensation of warmth spreading through the body. Others feel a gentle vibration. Others simply feel an inner expansiveness, as if the boundaries of the self have dissolved. Any of these responses indicate that the connection is active. Step 2 is the distribution, which I also call the outflow. This is where the reversal happens. Up until now, every prayer you have prayed has been a request. Please give me. Please send me. Please fix me. The generator protocol eliminates all requesting and replaces it with radiating. Instead of asking, how do I get money? You now ask, how do I release wealth? This is not semantic wordplay. This is a fundamental reorientation of causality. When you ask how to get, you position yourself as a receiver, dependent on external supply. When you ask how to release, you position yourself as a source containing internal supply. The moment you make this shift, the entire direction of the universal flow inverts. Here is the technique. With the connection still active, Visualize yourself as a sun radiating golden light in all directions. See this light pouring out of your chest, your hands, your head, extending outward in a sphere that fills the room, the building, the city. This light is not generic energy. It is encoded with the specific quality you wish to express. If you desire prosperity, the light is golden and carries the frequency of abundance. If you desire love, the light is pink and carries the frequency of warmth and connection. If you desire health, the light is emerald green and carries the frequency of vitality and regeneration. Choose the quality that matches your current focus and see yourself radiating it like a generator pumping electricity into a grid. As you visualize this outflow, mentally affirm, I am a center of divine operation. The infinite is radiating through me now as wealth, as love, as health, as every good thing I desire. I am the source. I am the generator. The world around me is receiving my broadcast. This step requires emotional intensity. You must feel yourself as powerful, not weak. You must feel yourself as abundant, not lacking. You must feel yourself as the broadcaster, not the receiver waiting for a signal. If you slip back into the begging mentality, please let this work, please send me money, you have lost the generator state and reverted to the receiver state. The moment you notice this slippage, return to the visualization of the light radiating outward. Feel the sensation of giving, releasing, expressing. Do not hoard the flow. Some students resist this step because they fear that if they radiate their energy outward, they will deplete themselves. This fear reveals a fundamental misunderstanding. You are not radiating your personal energy, you are radiating the infinite's energy through you. The infinite cannot be depleted. The more you radiate, the more flows in to replace it. This is the paradox of the generator. The more you give, the more you have. Hoarding blocks the flow. Releasing accelerates it. Step 3 is the claim, which I also call the identity. This is where you seal the work by declaring your true nature. Words have power when spoken from the awareness of oneness with the law. Holmes taught that the creative word is God speaking through you, and when you speak with the authority of one who knows they are a creative center, the word becomes law. This is not arrogance, this is recognition. You are not claiming to be superior to others. You are claiming your inheritance as a localized expression of the divine. The affirmation for this step is, I am a center of divine operation. The divine circulates through me now. I am the generator of my experience, and my experience is wealth, health, love, and every good thing. This is not hope. This is law. This is not desire. This is decree. And so it is. Speak this affirmation aloud if possible, or with such mental intensity that it feels spoken. Notice the shift in your body as you declare it. You may feel a surge of confidence, a straightening of the spine, a lifting of the chest. These are not accidents. They are your body responding to the energetic shift in your consciousness. The body is always listening to the mind, and when the mind shifts from victim to victor, the body must follow. Hold this state for as long as you can. Do not rush into action immediately. Sit with the feeling of being a generator for a few minutes, allowing it to saturate every cell. When you finally open your eyes and return to external awareness, you carry this state with you. You do not leave the generator state behind in meditation, you bring it into your daily life. The post technique is equally important. Holmes warned that most students perform excellent treatment and then immediately negate it by returning to habitual patterns of fear and doubt the moment they stand up. The generator protocol is not a magic spell that works independently of your daily consciousness. It is a tuning fork that sets the correct frequency, but you must maintain that frequency throughout the day. Therefore, as you move through your daily activities, you must practice the awareness of being the generator. Every time you enter a room, imagine that you are turning on the lights. You bring the energy, you bring the vibe, you bring the good. You do not look for it, you radiate it. If you walk into a meeting feeling anxious, you are broadcasting lack, and the meeting will reflect lack back to you. If you walk into the same meeting feeling abundant, powerful, and generous, you are broadcasting wealth, and the meeting will reflect wealth back to you. This is not about faking confidence. This is about operating from the knowledge that you are a creative center. Faking is exhausting because you are pretending to be something you are not. Generating is effortless because you are expressing what you are. The difference is subtle but total. When you fake, you are constantly monitoring the external environment to see if your performance is convincing. When you generate, you are self-referral, meaning your state comes entirely from your internal awareness of the law and is independent of external feedback. This is the state Holmes called spiritual maturity, and it is the goal of all metaphysical training. You stop needing the world to validate you because you validate yourself through your knowledge of the truth. The world then has no choice but to validate you, because the world is a mirror, and mirrors always agree with what stands before them. Throughout the day, as you implement the post technique, you must maintain a specific form of vigilance. Not the vigilance of paranoia, watching for things to go wrong, but the vigilance of the operator, watching for opportunities to radiate. Every interaction is an opportunity to apply the generator protocol in real time. When you speak to a cashier, radiate friendliness. When you pay a bill, radiate abundance. When you greet a colleague, radiate confidence. You are not performing for their benefit. You are practicing for yours. Each act of conscious radiation reinforces the generator state in your subconscious mind, making it more automatic. Eventually, you will not need to consciously remember to radiate. You will radiate automatically because the generator state has become your default setting. Holmes taught that the subconscious mind learns through repetition. Every time you consciously step into the generator state, you are training your subconscious to operate from that state without your conscious effort. This is why the daily practice is essential. One session of the generator protocol will give you a temporary boost, but consistent daily practice rewrites your subconscious programming, and when your subconscious is reprogrammed, manifestation becomes effortless. You are no longer fighting against your own hidden beliefs. Your hidden beliefs and your conscious desires are finally aligned, and the law responds to that alignment with unstoppable force. This is the difference between the student who gets occasional results and the master who lives in perpetual demonstration. The master has trained their subconscious to default to the generator state, while the student is still manually switching between generator and receiver dozens of times per day. The world will test you. External circumstances will appear to contradict your inner state. This is not the universe being cruel. This is the old film finishing its run through the projector. Remember, there is always a lag between the change in consciousness and the change in circumstance. The lag is not evidence that the law failed. It is evidence that the law is working, clearing out the old patterns to make room for the new. When the contradiction appears, do not panic. Do not revert to the receiver state. Hold the generator state with even greater intensity. This is where faith comes in, not blind faith, but informed faith. Faith based on understanding the law. You know the screen must eventually reflect the new film because the law is impersonal and automatic. The delay is mechanical, not personal. Trust the process. Now we must address the fatal mistakes that cause even advanced practitioners to lose power and revert to the beggar state. Holmes identified these errors with precision, and if you do not master them, the generator protocol will produce sporadic results, and you will conclude the teaching is flawed. The teaching is not flawed. Your execution is flawed. The two most common errors are the voltage drop, caused by seeking external validation, and the burnout caused by hoarding the flow. Both errors are rooted in the same misunderstanding, the belief that you are a limited personal entity generating results through personal effort. This belief is a lie, and the lie sabotages your work every time you unconsciously accept it. The first mistake, and this is the hook I promised earlier, is looking for approval. The moment you engage in the generator protocol and then immediately check the external world for signs of approval, am I doing it right? Do they like me? Is it working yet? You reverse the flow. You have gone from generator to receiver in a single thought. You are now a beggar again, waiting for the world to tell you whether you have permission to feel good. This is devastating because it negates all the work you just did. Holmes was emphatic on this point. The world does not validate you. You validate yourself through your knowledge of the law, and the world then reflects that self-validation back to you. If you need the world to tell you that you are successful before you feel successful, you will never feel successful, because the world only reflects the state you bring to it. Let me illustrate this with brutal clarity. Imagine you perform the generator protocol in the morning. You feel powerful, connected, abundant. You radiate golden light. You affirm your identity as a creative center. You walk into your workplace feeling like a sun. And then, within the first 5 minutes, a colleague makes a dismissive comment, a client cancels an appointment, or you receive an unexpected bill. What do you do? If you immediately interpret these events as evidence that the protocol failed, you have lost the game. You have allowed the external world to dictate your internal state, which means you are operating as effect, not cause. The generator does not ask the room if it likes the light. It simply shines. A star does not conduct polls to determine if the planets approve of its radiation. It radiates because radiation is its nature. The correct response to these apparent contradictions is to hold the generator state even more firmly. You do not interpret the dismissive comment as evidence of your insignificance. You interpret it as the old film running out. You do not interpret the cancelled appointment as evidence of failure. You interpret it as the law clearing space for something better. You do not interpret the unexpected bill as evidence of lack. You interpret it as an opportunity to practice radiating abundance while paying it. This is what Holmes meant by treating a situation. You are not fighting the situation. You are maintaining the consciousness that will produce a different situation. The fight is internal, not external. You are fighting the urge to collapse back into victim consciousness, and when you win that internal fight, the external circumstances must change. Seeking approval is particularly insidious because it appears reasonable. Of course you want feedback. Of course you want confirmation, but feedback and confirmation from the external world are always lagging indicators. They tell you what your consciousness was days, weeks, or months ago, not what it is now. If you allow lagging indicators to determine your current state, you are trapped in a feedback loop that reinforces the old pattern. This is why Holmes taught practitioners to become self-referral. Self-referral means your validation comes entirely from your internal knowledge of the law, not from external evidence. You know you are a creative center because the law says you are, not because your bank account agrees. You know the infinite is flowing through you because the principle declares it, not because people are applauding. This self-referral state feels arrogant to the ego, and the ego will resist it violently. The ego has been trained by society to seek external validation, to measure success by the opinions of others, to feel secure only when the world confirms your worth. Holmes is asking you to invert this entirely. He is asking you to feel secure based on your understanding of metaphysical law, independent of the world's opinion, and to trust that the world will eventually conform to your internal knowing. This requires a level of faith that most people never develop because they abandon the practice the moment the external world fails to provide immediate confirmation. They are like a farmer who plants seeds, checks the soil the next day, sees no sprouts, and concludes that planting does not work. The law operates on its own timeline, and your task is to maintain the generator state regardless of the timeline. The second mistake is hoarding the flow, and this error is even more subtle. Once a student grasps the idea of being a generator, the ego attempts to co-opt the teaching by turning it into a personal accumulation strategy. The student begins generating but refuses to release. They radiate love but withhold love. They visualize wealth but refuse to spend money. They imagine health but cling to fear. This is the equivalent of blocking the outlet while demanding more electricity. The law is designed to flow, and flow requires both input and output. If you block the output, the input stops, not because the infinite has changed its mind, but because you have created a mechanical obstruction in the system. Holmes taught that giving is the proof of receiving, not because giving manipulates the universe into giving back, but because genuine giving is the natural expression of the generator state. A sun does not hoard its light. A river does not hoard its water. A generator does not hoard its electricity. These things flow because flowing is their nature, and you are designed the same way. When you hoard, you are declaring to the law, I am limited. I might run out. And the law, being utterly faithful to your declaration, provides experiences that confirm your limitation. Conversely, When you give freely, you are declaring, "I am connected to an infinite source. I cannot run out." And the law provides experiences that confirm your abundance. This does not mean giving recklessly or enabling destructive behavior in others. It means giving from the consciousness of overflow, not from the consciousness of sacrifice. If you give because you feel guilty, you are not generating, you are depleting. If you give because you feel abundant, you are generating, and the law refills you instantly. The key is the feeling behind the action. Holmes would ask, are you giving from fullness or from fear? If from fullness, the giving accelerates the flow. If from fear, the giving creates resentment, and resentment is a blockage. Therefore, you must learn to discern the quality of your giving. True generosity feels light, expansive, joyful. False generosity feels heavy, resentful, obligatory. Trust the feeling as your guide. The Master's tips. Holmes left us are simple but devastating in their power. He said, "Life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it." Let that statement burn into your mind. Life does not have a personality. Life does not play favorites. Life does not reward or punish. Life is a mirror, and mirrors are mechanical. They reflect without interpretation. If you think limitation, life reflects limitation. If you think abundance, life reflects abundance. The reflection is perfect, but the lag makes it seem imperfect. You think abundance today, and the mirror still shows limitation because it is reflecting what you thought last week. But if you persist in thinking abundance, the mirror must eventually catch up. This is law. This is certainty. This is the foundation upon which all technique rests. Holmes also taught, you are a center of divine consciousness. Not, you are trying to become, or you will one day be, but you are. Present tense, eternal fact. If you are a center of divine consciousness, then everything you need to live a magnificent life is already present within you, waiting for your recognition. The work is not to acquire what you lack. The work is to recognize what you have. This recognition is not intellectual. It is felt. You must feel yourself as a center of divine consciousness until the feeling becomes your automatic state. When that happens, the outer world has no choice but to conform to the inner knowing. This is the promise. This is the science. This is the law that Ernest Holmes decoded and handed to us as a blueprint for reality engineering. Now we connect this teaching to the realm of physics because Holmes insisted that metaphysics is not separate from physics. It is the foundation beneath it. Everything in the material world is a condensation of energy, and energy follows patterns determined by consciousness. Modern science is slowly catching up to what Holmes taught a century ago. The human being is not a passive observer of reality, but an active generator of it. Let us examine the evidence with scientific precision. Every human heart produces an electromagnetic field that can be measured by sensitive instruments several feet away from the body. This field is not static. It changes in real time based on your emotional state. When you feel fear, the field contracts and becomes chaotic. When you feel love, the field expands and becomes coherent. This is not mysticism. This is measurable physics. The HeartMath Institute has documented that the electromagnetic field produced by the heart is approximately 5,000 times stronger than the field produced by the brain. This field carries information, and other living systems respond to that information subconsciously. When you enter a room broadcasting the frequency of fear through your electromagnetic field, people pick up on it without conscious awareness. They feel uncomfortable around you. They make excuses to leave. They unconsciously avoid you. Conversely, when you enter a room broadcasting the frequency of love, confidence, and abundance, people are drawn to you. They want to be near you. They offer opportunities. They trust you without knowing why. What Holmes called consciousness or mental atmosphere, science now calls bioelectric field coherence. The terminology differs, but the mechanism is identical. Let us go deeper. Quantum physics has demonstrated that observation affects the behavior of subatomic particles. In the famous double-slit experiment, electrons behave as waves when unobserved and as particles when observed. The act of observation collapses the wave function, determining which potential becomes actual. Holmes would say the observer is the thinker, the wave function is the field of infinite possibilities, and the collapsed particle is the manifested form. You are collapsing the wave function of your life every moment through the quality of your observation. If you observe through the lens of lack, you collapse possibilities into forms of limitation. If you observe through the lens of abundance, you collapse possibilities into forms of wealth. The quantum field does not care which you choose. It simply responds to the observation with mechanical precision. Neuroscience provides additional confirmation. Your brain generates between 60,000 and 80,000 thoughts per day, and the vast majority of those thoughts are repetitions of yesterday's thoughts. This means your brain is running the same film repeatedly, generating the same electromagnetic field repeatedly, collapsing the wave function into the same patterns repeatedly, which produces the same external circumstances repeatedly. You call this life, but it is actually a loop. The loop can only be broken by consciously introducing new thoughts, new feelings, new images, which generate a new field, which collapses new possibilities, which produces new circumstances. This is not philosophy. This is neuroplasticity applied to manifestation. You are literally rewiring your brain every time you engage in the generator protocol, creating new neural pathways that support the generator state. Holmes understood that thoughts are things, not metaphorically but literally. Every thought is a pattern of electrical activity in the brain, and that electrical activity generates a field that extends beyond the skull. That field interacts with other fields, including the quantum field, the electromagnetic fields of other people, and the morphic fields theorized by biologist Rupert Sheldrake. You are not isolated. You are a node in a vast network of energy and information, and your contribution to that network determines what you receive from it. If you broadcast chaos, the network returns chaos. If you broadcast coherence, the network returns coherence. Holmes called this the law of cause and effect. Science calls it resonance, entrainment, and field interaction. The mechanisms differ only in language. Consider the implications for what we call luck or charisma. People who seem magnetically lucky are not favored by a personal deity. They are broadcasting a coherent, high-frequency electromagnetic field that subconsciously attracts cooperative circumstances. Their field is saying, I am abundant, confident, and open. And the universe, which is a responsive field, organizes matter and events to match that broadcast. People who seem cursed by bad luck are broadcasting an incoherent, low-frequency field that repels cooperative circumstances. Their field is saying, I am fearful, lacking, and closed. And the universe organizes matter and events to match that broadcast. Neither person is aware they are broadcasting, which is why luck seems random. But Holmes reveals the code. Luck is not random. It is the law responding to your unexamined field. This is why the generator protocol is so powerful. When you consciously generate a coherent field of abundance, health, and love, you are not wishing for these things. You are broadcasting the signal that attracts their material equivalents. The signal goes out as an electromagnetic wave, interacts with the quantum field, and returns as experiences, people, and opportunities that match the frequency you transmitted. This is the biophysics of manifestation, and it explains why some people can attract opportunities effortlessly, while others struggle despite working harder. The struggler is broadcasting effort, which is a frequency of lack. The effortless one is broadcasting ease, which is a frequency of abundance. The law does not reward effort, it rewards alignment. Holmes was teaching the biophysics of charisma and luck decades before the instruments existed to measure it. He understood intuitively what science now confirms empirically. You are a generator of fields, and fields organize matter. If you want to change the matter in your life, your health, your wealth, your relationships, you must first change the field you are generating. You change the field by changing your consciousness. You change your consciousness by applying the principles and techniques we have covered in this transmission. This is not belief. This is engineering. This is not hope. This is law. And the law, being impersonal and automatic, works for anyone who applies it with precision, regardless of their history, their background, or their current circumstances. Let me now illustrate this principle with a concrete anecdote that demonstrates the generator protocol in action. There was a teacher, we will call her Anne, who struggled for years to control her classroom. She taught middle school, which meant she faced 30 adolescents daily, each broadcasting their own chaotic frequencies of hormones, insecurity, and rebellion. Anne tried every external strategy the system offered. She raised her voice. She implemented strict rules. She sent disruptive students to the principal. Nothing worked. The classroom remained chaotic, and Anne went home every day exhausted, feeling like a failure. She begged the students for respect, which is another way of saying she broadcast the frequency of "I am powerless," and the law, being faithful, provided continuous confirmation of her powerlessness. One summer, Anne discovered the writings of Ernest Holmes. She read The Science of Mind and was struck by the concept of being a creative center. She realized she had been waiting for the students to give her authority, which meant she was operating as effect. Holmes taught her to become cause. When the new school year began, Anne implemented a radical shift. Every morning before school, she sat in her empty classroom and performed the generator protocol. She visualized herself as a sun radiating a field of calm authority. She did not visualize the students behaving. She visualized herself radiating order, and she trusted the law to handle the details. She affirmed, "I am a center of divine order. Peace flows through me and fills this room. I do not beg for respect. I radiate respect. The students respond to the frequency I broadcast." She repeated this practice every single morning for 3 weeks, without seeing immediate results. The old pattern persisted for the first few days, which would have caused most people to quit, but Anne understood the lag. She knew the old film was still running through the projector, and she held the generator state despite the evidence. Then, in the 3rd week, something shifted. Students who had been disruptive began arriving to class calm. They would enter the room, sit down, and immediately quiet down without Anne saying a word. Other teachers noticed and asked Anne what she had done. She had done nothing externally. She had changed her field, and the students, being sensitive to bioelectric fields like all humans, subconsciously responded to the unspoken signal she was broadcasting. By the end of the semester, Anne's classroom was the calmest in the school. The principal asked her to share her secret at a staff meeting. Anne hesitated because she knew most of her colleagues would dismiss the explanation as nonsense, but she shared it anyway, framing it in terms they could accept. "I stopped asking the students for order and started projecting order. I stopped reacting to their behavior and started setting the tone before they arrived." Some teachers rolled their eyes. A few tried it and reported similar results. Anne did not care whether they believed her. She had proven the law to herself, and that was sufficient. She had transformed from a beggar seeking respect to a generator radiating authority, and the external world had no choice but to reflect the change. This story is not unique. Every master of the science of mind has similar stories because the law operates identically for everyone. The principle is universal. Anne did not possess special powers. She simply applied the generator protocol with consistency and faith. You can do the same in any area of your life where you have been begging for external validation. Stop begging. Start generating. The world is waiting for your signal, and it will organize itself to match whatever frequency you broadcast with perfect mechanical precision. We have covered immense territory in this transmission, and now we must synthesize the components into a single, unified understanding. The victim waits to receive. The victim monitors the external world for signs of approval, permission, and supply. The victim believes that power resides outside the self, in other people, in circumstances, in luck, in divine whim. The victim prays upward and outward, begging for mercy from a distant force. The victim is exhausted because they are trying to control a million external variables, none of which they have the power to control. This is the consciousness of effect, and it guarantees perpetual suffering because effects have no power. All power resides in cause, and the victim refuses to accept their identity as cause. The master, by contrast, prepares to give. The master knows that power does not reside in the external world but in the consciousness that generates the external world. The master does not monitor circumstances for validation. The master monitors consciousness for alignment. The master does not pray upward and outward. The master prays from the awareness that they are a localized point where the infinite is operating. The master is energized because they are not fighting external conditions. They are maintaining an internal state, and external conditions must eventually conform to that state because the law is impersonal and automatic. The master lives in the consciousness of cause, and this produces the experience of dominion. The shift from victim to master is not a matter of acquiring new abilities. You already possess every ability you need because the infinite is already flowing through you. The shift is a matter of recognition. You must recognize what you are: a creative center, a localized God, an outlet for infinite power, and then live from that recognition until it becomes automatic. This is the work. This is the only work. Every technique, every affirmation, every visualization is simply a tool to help you maintain recognition until recognition becomes your default state. When that happens, you stop needing the techniques because you have become the technique. You radiate naturally what you once had to practice deliberately. Holmes promises that this transformation is available to everyone, not because everyone is equally evolved, but because everyone is equally connected to the same infinite source. The law does not play favorites. It operates identically for the saint and the sinner, the master and the beginner. If you apply the principles with precision, you will get results, not because you deserve them, but because the law must produce results when the conditions are met. This is the beauty of a scientific approach to spirituality. You do not need faith in the traditional sense. You need understanding. Once you understand the law, faith becomes inevitable because you recognize that the law is as reliable as gravity. The transformation Holmes offers is not incremental. It is radical. You do not slowly improve your life by attracting slightly better circumstances. You flip the switch from receiver to generator, and everything changes in an instant. The instant is internal. The external manifestation takes time because of the lag, but the internal shift is immediate and total. The moment you recognize yourself as a creative center, you are free. Free from the tyranny of circumstances, free from the opinion of others, free from the fear that supply might run out. You realize you are plugged into infinity, and infinity, by definition, cannot be exhausted. Let me speak to you now with absolute clarity and zero ambiguity. You are not a black hole trying to suck in light from a reluctant universe. You are a star designed to burn. The infinite did not create you as a passive recipient. It created you as an active expression. Your purpose is not to wait for good to arrive. Your purpose is to radiate good until the world around you has no choice but to reflect it back. This is not motivational fluff. This is the core principle of existence. Every spiritual tradition that has endured through the centuries teaches the same truth in different language. The kingdom is within. The Buddha said it, Jesus said it, Lao Tzu said it, and Ernest Holmes decoded it into a system so precise that anyone can operate it regardless of their religious background or lack thereof. Stop begging the universe. Begging is the language of the disconnected, and you are not disconnected. You have never been disconnected. You have been asleep to the connection, mistaking the dream of separation for reality. The connection is eternal, unbreakable, and active right now. The infinite is pressing against your consciousness with infinite force, waiting for you to open the valve and let it flow. Every thought of lack closes the valve. Every recognition of truth opens it. The work is simple, but it requires vigilance. You must monitor your thoughts the way an engineer monitors a control panel, adjusting the settings the moment you notice a drift toward the old pattern. The world you see is the shadow cast by your light. Shadows cannot harm you. Shadows have no substance, no power, no permanence. When you change the position of the light, the shadows change instantly. Your life is a shadow cast by your consciousness. And the moment you reposition your consciousness from lack to abundance, from fear to love, from receiver to generator, the shadow must change. It cannot do otherwise because shadows are effects, and effects obey cause with absolute fidelity. If you are staring at a shadow you do not like, stop fighting the shadow. Move the light. Change the film in the projector. Become the generator and the shadow will rearrange itself to match the new broadcast. Holmes would tell you that you are standing at the threshold of infinite possibility right now, in this moment, regardless of what appears to be true in the external world. The external world is yesterday's consciousness made visible. It tells you nothing about what is possible today. Today you have the power to issue a new decree, to broadcast a new frequency, to run a new film through the projector. The law does not remember your past. It responds only to your present. If your present is aligned with truth, if you are standing in the generator state right now, the law must produce results that match that state, not because you are special, but because the law is reliable. This is your inheritance. This is your power. This is the truth. Ernest Holmes died trying to spread to a world addicted to victimhood. You are a center of divine consciousness. Not you might be or you could become, but you are. This is not a compliment. This is a description of your metaphysical structure. The divine is not a distant entity. It is the substance of your being. When you think, the divine thinks through you. When you speak, the divine speaks through you. When you act, the divine acts through you. You are not a puppet. You are a partner. The divine has given you free will, which means you can use the law to create suffering or to create joy. The choice is yours, but the mechanism is identical. The law fills every mold without judging the shape of the mold. If you want a different result, create a different mold. The mold is your consciousness. Shape it deliberately, or it will be shaped by default through unconscious repetition of old patterns. The invitation Holmes extends is simple. Stop living as effect and start living as cause. Stop monitoring the world for what it will give you, and start generating what you will give the world. Stop asking, what can I get, and start asking, what can I express? This single shift in orientation reverses the flow of the universe through your life. You go from empty to full, from weak to powerful, from victim to master. And the master, living in the consciousness of cause, demonstrates a life so abundant, so harmonious, so seemingly miraculous that others call it luck. But you will know it is not luck. It is law. It is the natural result of aligning your consciousness with the infinite and allowing that infinite to flow through you unobstructed. You are the generator. The power is already on. The question is whether you will flip the switch. No one can flip it for you. No guru, no program, no external circumstance will do this work for you. The switch is internal, and only you have access to it. But the moment you flip it, the lights come on, and they stay on as long as you hold the generator state. This is the promise. This is the science. This is the teaching of Ernest Holmes, and it has transformed every person who has applied it with sincerity and precision. I now issue you a challenge, and this challenge is designed to prove the law to yourself in the most direct way possible. For the next 24 hours, I want you to implement what I call the sun strategy. You are going to be the sun. The sun does not wait for the planets to give it energy. The sun generates its own energy and radiates it outward, and the planets receiving that radiation orbit the sun as a natural consequence. For one full day, you are going to enter every interaction asking not, what can I get, but what can I give? This does not mean giving away your resources recklessly. It means radiating your consciousness deliberately. When you wake up, before you check your phone or engage with the external world, perform the generator protocol. Establish the connection, visualize the outflow, and claim your identity as a creative center. Feel yourself as full, abundant, and powerful. Then, as you move through your day, bring that state into every interaction. When you greet someone, give them a genuine smile. When you speak, give them your full attention. When you pay a bill, radiate the consciousness of abundance as you release the money. Do not hoard, do not withdraw. Radiate. If someone asks you for help, and you can provide it without depleting yourself, provide it from the consciousness of overflow. If you cannot provide it, decline from the consciousness of boundaries, not from the consciousness of lack. Watch what happens. You will notice that people respond to you differently. Opportunities will appear that did not exist the day before. Problems that seemed insurmountable will suddenly resolve. This is not magic. This is the law responding to the field you are broadcasting. You are running a 24-hour experiment to prove to yourself that you are a generator, not a receiver. At the end of the day, write down what happened. Note the external changes, but more importantly, note the internal shift. You will feel more powerful, more alive, more connected. That feeling is the evidence that you are operating as cause. And operating as cause is the only sustainable path to a life of abundance. If the experiment works, and it will if you execute it sincerely, then extend it to 48 hours, then a week, then a month. Make the generator state your default. Holmes taught that it takes approximately 30 days of consistent practice to reprogram the subconscious mind. If you can maintain the sun strategy for 30 days, the generator state will become automatic, and you will never need this teaching again because you will have become the teaching. You will radiate naturally what you once had to practice deliberately, and your life will reflect that radiation with mathematical precision. But I must warn you, the ego will resist. On day 3 or day 7 or day 15, the old pattern will attempt to reassert itself. A bill will arrive, or a person will criticize you, or a plan will fail and the ego will scream, "See, this does not work. You are fooling yourself. Go back to begging." This is the test. This is where most students quit. Do not quit. Hold the generator state with even greater intensity. Treat the contradiction as the old film running out, not as evidence that the law failed. The law never fails. Your faith in the law is what fails, and when your faith collapses, you revert to the receiver state, and the receiver state produces the experience of lack. Holmes would tell you to know the truth until the truth is all you know, and when the truth is all you know, the lie has no power over you. Subscribe to this channel if you are ready to turn on the power and keep it on. This is not a channel for casual viewers. This is a transmission for serious students of the science of mind who want precision, not platitudes. If you execute the sun strategy and experience results, come back to the comments and type "the switch is on" so others can see the law in action. Your testimony is not for my benefit. It is for the benefit of those who are still asleep, still begging, still suffering under the illusion of separation. Your demonstration becomes their proof, and their proof becomes their faith, and their faith activates the law in their life. This is how the teaching spreads, not through argument, but through demonstration. You are a creative center. You are a localized God. You are an outlet for infinite power. The infinite is waiting for you to stop begging and start commanding. The universe is not withholding. You are blocking the flow with thoughts of lack. Remove the blockage, flip the switch, and watch reality reorganize itself around the new frequency you are broadcasting. This is law. This is science. This is the teaching of Ernest Holmes, and it is the most powerful knowledge you will ever receive. Use it. Prove it. Become it. And when you do, you will join the ranks of those who no longer pray for miracles because they have become the miracle. Subscribe, execute, demonstrate. The sacred logic is waiting for you to turn on the power.